you don't like to do it, which I don't like to do, I pay somebody to do it. If we break down a quick schedule, which I know you and I have talked about personally, I kind of look at it in the sense of like, from your 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you do your team meeting, which is really just a review of all the deals you have going on, your hottest leads, your red flags, everything has to be taken care of. You handle it right away. The next 4, 5, 6 hours is all prospecting, outbound mainly only. This is doing, obviously, you're dialing, right? You're not, whether you're on the dialer or hand dialing. I highly recommend, obviously, the dialer. While I'm on the dialer, I'm also sending out text messages. I'm also trying to send out emails. Like, I'm multitasking to try to get as much outbound as possible all at the same time. Generating these opportunities, every single lead that I get goes right into the CRM, which if you have Follow Up Boss or many other CRMs, you can literally just integrate it with Mojo. So with one click, it goes right into your CRM system. So now we're at like about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The entire rest of the day, I eat at home a lot, especially for lunch. I'll eat while I'm doing it, but I just do, not only am I doing follow-up calls, but I'm also now spending the entire rest of my day pitching out deals and trying to get offers, right? Because you have the morning morning is lead generation, afternoon is offer generation, which is now you're just trying to get offers on the deals that you've already generated. And that's the simplicity of this game. Now, obviously, there's the other intricacies of hypothetically, you have to go meet with a client and go shake their hand for whatever reason. I do that after offer generation time is ended. So like I'll go at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever. So when I try to set meetings, I say, what time do you have this week? Do you have available after 5 o'clock to go meet you at your office? So like I'm specifically stating after 4, after 5, after 6 o'clock, so I don't screw up my lead gen time.
Or morning. I know you said morning, 7 a.m. or whatever, or really early. I guess, right?
Really early or really late. I typically will. I'm at the gym in the morning, so like I'm not going to screw up my schedule. I like having my schedule the way it is. So that's that. And in regards to buyers, I'd say there's 2 ways to do it. Either you're going to do the flip the script, which is like you're on the phone with the client. They say I don't want to sell it. You flip it into a buyer conversation. You're like, okay, I can totally understand. I don't want to sell. Would you be totally against buying a property? The other way to do it is you can actually manually go like, hey, I generated a lead at 123 Main Street. Pull a radius search of all the properties that transacted in the last year, 2, 3. Look at all the buyers who bought them. Give them all a call specifically and say, hey, I have a property at 123 Main Street. I know you bought 129 Main Street 2 years ago, right? And I know you paid X price per square foot. I got one for, this property is actually cheaper at a price per square foot basis. I think it could make sense for you. Would you be totally against buying another property? So
yeah. What makes you say against? It's interesting. Totally against, as opposed to, would you be open? Totally against.
Yeah, I've trialed every possible thing you can imagine when it comes to an opening line, and I heard that one time, and I was like, I like it, and I kind of stuck.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I like the double negative. All right, sending LOIs daily. So sending LOIs daily, 2 things with this. One, I look at it from the lens of if you like to present verbal offers for the starter offer, right? The one that we custom create ourselves versus actual legitimate offer. So these are 2 different things. If it's a starter offer, you don't have to write it up. I recommend it, but you don't have to write it up, but you do have to present it verbally. Even if it's written up, anytime you present an offer, 100% of the time you have an offer, you present it verbally. This is not something you just send an email and cross your fingers, right?
I agree.
It's always verbal, whether you write it up or not, but call it sending in a starter offer every day. It doesn't have to be written up. So like you don't have to think about the starter offers as always being written up. Don't let that be a hold up. Second thing is, if it's a true offer, a true legitimate buyer who's looking to buy your property at any price, I don't care if it's 50 cents on the dollar, write it up 100% of the time and get them to sign it. The buyer can sign that. Now, when I'm presenting that offer, I don't always just submit that offer right away. I might also, hypothetically, depending on the prices, I might call and verbally give a lower offer than the offer I just got to the seller. So just because you have an LOI signed doesn't mean I need to present exactly those terms first. I have to present it. I legally have to present it, quote unquote, but I can present a lower offer first, right? If I can save the buyer money or make everybody more money in the same sense of it, right? Why not? So that's that. Obviously the goal is to write up, call it, generate 2 leads a day, 1 offer a day minimum. We've talked about that before. Next is learning how to do off-market deals and be protected for commissions and customers not going around you. So I actually literally just got somebody who commented on a YouTube video of mine. Maybe they're still watching this video when it comes out. I get this question a lot, which is how do I protect myself so I don't get, basically backdoored? The short answer is you can never guarantee it, because I'm going to be honest with you, even if you were to sign every document under the sun, which you can do an exclusive right to sell with the seller, you can have an NDA and a CA signed by the buyer, you can have both parties sign a commission agreement. You can have a seller sign a commission agreement and a buyer sign a commission agreement, and you could say, I'm protected. Now, the buyer could then still go around you, and now listen, you can then choose to go litigate, but are you really going to do that?
No.
And I'm not, and probably Keller Williams might, might, but there's no guarantee they're going to want to. And just because you have the document signed doesn't mean you're even going to make anywhere near the same amount of money that you would make normally. You know what I mean? So it's like the people who are going to backdoor you are only a handful of type of people. Okay? Seasoned, good people who you're going to do business with for the rest of your career are never going to do that to you. The people who are going to do that to you are first-time investors, which I try to avoid a lot of the time, unless they're like very good friends of mine. Okay? Because seasoned guys are never going to screw a broker who brings them an off-market deal. Because it's like, what, you're going to screw me on one deal? I could make you $1 million a year for the rest of your life. Why would you ever screw me? What are you, stupid? They know not to screw a good broker, right? But they will screw you if they're a first-time investor and they just don't know better, okay? Or two, they just will screw you because they are just that type of innate person, right? Everyone they do business with, they screw them. The seller's probably going to get screwed too. So like, just keep in mind that like the good people who you're probably going to do a lot of business with throughout your life are never going to do that, even if you have 0 documents signed.
I guess it's the etiquette. I'm not afraid of that. I had it happen to me my first deal many years ago, and it was a rookie mistake. And I had a broker go around me, rookie mistake, gave out information. The guy was way more experienced and just not ethical. But whatever. I guess it's more presenting open properties, like I want to present these things. I'm coming across stuff, and then I want to call like the property I brought to you, right? We could pitch for that property, that warehouse. It's right behind my office, by the way.
Sure.
Did 2 leases. The company did 2 leases. So like, I want to offer that out. Like you qualified them.
You literally could have nothing signed. You could have nothing signed. You could put together an offering memorandum, and as long as you can obviously talk to the seller, like just to be clear, are you okay with me putting this in front of a couple buyers? Yes, great. That's it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, because if there's nothing signed saying you can't, like he can argue in court, quote unquote, that you can't, right? And if, even if, you can have him sign, by the way, an exclusive right to sell agreement or, realistically, just really a commission agreement or even a marketing, agreement that you could custom create. Like, hey, seller agrees if Ken Dowd from XYZ company were to bring a buyer, seller, at X price, seller agrees to pay 6% commission and also allows Ken Dowd from XYZ brokerage to market the property as long as it's not on any major platform such as CoStar, LoopNet, CREsync, whatever. To send information to private buyers exclusively through email or text message, right? Like you could have an agreement that's written up like that and have them sign it, and sure, like if it makes you feel better, great, right? Like I don't wait for that. There's no need. Like if someone says to me, unless somebody says to me, do not market my property, do not send people information unless they sign an NDA or a CA, I will go, okay, no problem, and I will adjust for those people. So we have a process where we will make sure that we have a separate list of OMs that are created, but they're in a folder that is labeled, NDA, CA, that have to be signed exclusively beforehand before they can get access to that.
Go back to that property. That property, you're on the phone. Let's just say it's Linebow, whatever. It's right by me, whatever. Or just say 123 Main Street. So now I want to offer that out, right? This afternoon, say I start offering that. Just do that verbally. Hey, I have a building, 22,000 square feet. This is a range where it's off market, and then the person might say, "Hey, give me more information on it," and then you would send that out.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to send them the seller's last full name. You're not going to send them the phone number. You're not going to send them where the guy lives. Right? You're going to be like, hey, the address is 123 Main Street. The seller wants X price, and here's the financials, right? And here's a breakdown of the leases and the details.
Real
right?
Simple.
Real simple.
Like,
100%.
Like
it could be in an email.
I sent you.
Yeah.
Like exactly what I sent you, right? Remember I sent that to you?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Next piece is, in Tampa, how to expand your territory, not knowing the areas as well as the local markets or need to do. So I look at it like this. Now, no matter what, okay, even being in New York, okay, think about, you grew up in that, in the North, right? Like in the Northeast, right?
New York all my life, yeah.
So it's like, it still takes you a period of time, even though you live there, to understand the markets and understand the area, right? And now you're in a new area, and it's okay for it to take time. I also would just stress to you that like Tampa is not a big enough market for you to make $1 million a year. I just don't.
That's a concern of branching out. I need to start somewhere, and I know
for sure.
People, and
just
I'm
like
open to
just as long. And look, I'm not saying start calling Pensacola or Jacksonville tomorrow, but I am saying you should be, starting to just think about your market as a greater MSA, like a tri-county, 5-county area versus Tampa. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, It's different when you say New York, because in New York City, as an example, you could make 10 million a year in New York City. Tampa's not that market, and I just think about everything these days as statewide. Like no matter what, I'm always thinking statewide. Now, the very few weeks into your career in this area, I wouldn't think statewide, but I would think at least 3 or 5 or 6 counties locally, right off the bat, right, and just be like, that's your market for now, right? Like the greater MSA. Go from a couple, 1 or 2 counties north, 1 or 2 counties that'd be east, and then a couple counties south, and just do everything around there and say like, okay, that's my market. Actually, I'm not a Tampa broker, right? I'm a Central Florida broker, right? Like, or whatever.
Yeah, and Henry, I am doing that. So I'm sitting right now, upper north right now, Lutz. So I mean, Lakeland, Orlando. I network with the guys over there. So you have a lot of industrial between these markets.
100%.
That's one area. I am doing that. So I am doing counties.
And look, and if that doesn't, and I'm telling you, like as that grows, then eventually do the whole freaking state. Anytime I go to some new area, I'm just doing statewide. Like it's never me thinking for a moment I'm only going to do X area. I'm going to do a state. Okay, you said you need a CRM and need a search tool for searching for properties for sale and for lease.
Yeah, I need to really, and I could run an office here eventually. Like I have a platform to bring people under me at KW. Yep. That's the one thing this older guy's doing for me. His name is Coach, and that's what he should be, a coach. He was, and he's a character.
Is Coach?
His name, he changed his name to Coach. I mean, he's in his 70s. He's a guy that doesn't want to retire. He's happy, I think, to go to work. He's a nice guy, but I want to put money in his pocket because I appreciate opportunities. But then I'm probably going to break off, and I don't mind working with him. But it's going to go a whole nother way. So sure. KW could work out well. So my whole thing is CRM, Mojo probably, and Reonomy I have. So I have that, which is great. I love it. And understanding how to really operate the right way. I don't go into it like you do. You dive in deep with your spreadsheets and all that stuff. That's like scary to me. I've never done that. And that's probably why I never made $1 million a year or $500,000.
Well, look, I mean, to do, some serious business, you need to have some systems. And if you don't treat it, if you don't look, any salesperson, right, as just a specific salesperson where you don't really have to go that deep and you don't really have to update, because, every salesperson likes to move fast. They don't like to update their CRM system. They don't typically like to follow process. They just like to make their calls, shut up and do it, right? Like, it's just like, right. That's fine. But then you're going to be paid what a good salesperson can be making, or an average salesperson will make, or a bad salesperson will make. If you want to make as much money as a business owner, there are things that I absolutely freaking hate doing that I do anyways. And it's not fun. And by the way, then there's even things that, like the small little things, like updating my CRM system. If you don't like to do it, which I don't like to do, right? Because I'm innately a salesperson, I pay somebody to do it, right? So it's like you can pay a VA.
Do virtual people do that?
VAs,
okay. So I have a VA person in my group, my BNI, out of Colombia. I don't know what she charges. Her people come out of the same time zone, Colombia. So
cool.
So VA,
yeah, I mean, look, could be lucrative, right? I mean, at the same time, I'd highly recommend that you just suck it up and do it until you close the deal. But down the road, for sure, right? For a long period of time, I did everything myself. The only thing I'd highly recommend when it comes to actual outsourcing is transaction management. You can typically pay somebody, again, a flat fee per transaction when it closes. Right. So especially because I do everything off market, so I don't pay them until it closes anyways. I don't have anything to list. It's the easiest way. And now that's how I started. And obviously now we have full-time staff, but I definitely don't recommend full-time staff to start.
No, I'm not there yet. The coaching definitely for me to make money is keeping track of things. So I got
so you'll have, I gave you access to a dashboard, right?
Right.
Do that to track your metrics. And then literally anytime you have any leads or anything else, get any CRM. I don't care if it's HubSpot, which can be free. I literally think they have a free version. You can use that for free.
Okay. What do you really like? What do you like that's like so simple, just easy?
Well, I'm saying HubSpot is free, and then I'm telling you, I use Follow Up Boss. Would I say it's easy? It's not overly complicated. I think there's much more complicated CRMs out there. Follow Up Boss is just, again, a CRM system that was built. I used it when I was doing residential business for a long time, and it carried over to now. So I just have all of my database and everything's in there. So why would I change it, right? I just look at it in the sense of, I just tell you what I use. If you want to spend, it's not cheap. It's kind of like a mid-range cost-wise for a CRM. There's definitely cheaper ones out there. Anything you choose is fine.
That's good. I just don't want it to go into KW. It's clunky. Plus, I want to own your
data.
Yeah, I want all my data because I don't buy
I
stuff.
would recommend you do.
I never did. You know, I build everything probably the way you do. You know, my own database.
For
I've
sure.
always done that.
Same.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and also yeah, the speed dialing thing or the auto dialing. I love watching you. It's hilarious. You know, you're
Appreciate
talking
it.
while you're doing it, texting and I mean, obviously you can multitask. And I'll tell you the one thing I've never seen before. Everybody talks about cold calling is all the rejections and everything like that, missed numbers and stuff. Then you really see what goes on, the grunt work, and that's what that you know, that's the way it is. Populating off of Reonomy, like I have to grasp it through my mind. I'm looking at Chase Bank, McDonald's right now, another building. My mind just says, find the owner of that Chase, find the owner of McDonald's, and I'll just go down a block. I haven't really grasped putting all these things in. So I guess I
Yeah,
don't
because like,
understand.
look, I don't, I like shortening time frames and shortening obstacles, right? Like, eliminating obstacles. We're like, hey, if an obstacle for you, what it sounds like is process, in the sense of like, instead of just saying like, hey, I'm gonna go find and drive around and like I want to point at a property and say I want to find the owner of this thing, and just say, hey, I'm just gonna call every single retail property in Tampa, or I'm gonna call every industrial building in Orlando. Right, like it just I don't give a shit if I go see it or think it looks pretty. I'm just going to call every single industrial building in the state of Florida until somebody wants to sell it for a great price.
No, it's fantastic. I haven't been done that, and I do this by Google. I don't just drive around. I do drive
No,
around.
I know what you're saying, but
You know,
what I'm saying
yeah,
is like you're creating an obstacle for yourself. Instead of
yeah,
just saying,
definitely.
hey, I'm going to call every property in this town, or even just do a radius. Everything within a 5 mile radius of this property, I'm going to call it. Everything in a
I love
25
it.
mile radius, and from your office, I'm going to call it. Like I don't care what it looks like, who it is, how much it's worth. I'm calling it.
So
Right?
then, how do you know when something pops up? You know, you get a 20,000 pops up at 50. I guess you set it a certain way
Yeah, no,
by
no. Like every
parameters,
list is
right?
specific to an asset class and a size, right?
Right.
So like
Right.
I can go to any list I've pulled, and I've pulled thousands of lists where I can literally go, okay, this is going to be a multifamily list in this area that hasn't sold in 10 years, that has a tax bracket between 25,000 in taxes and 100,000 in taxes. So I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm pretty sure that these properties are probably going to be worth between $2 million and $10 million.
Got it. Okay. So when they pull up, that's your range. You're like,
Yeah, or as an example.
yeah. It's just like a whole nother world for me to do that, and
Well, look,
that's
start with one
yeah,
list. Start it with 50 freaking people. Who cares? 100 people. Start with
right.
that. Call the list and go like, oh, like I'm telling you, and I've seen this 100 times, 1,000 times. You're gonna pull a list. You're gonna put it into a dialer, and you're gonna call the list, and you're go, I am never fucking hand dialing again. Right? Like you will see that like this is too easy. Right? Like, and that's it. Like
No, you're
you
probably
get
right.
hooked.
Probably like me looking at a map from AAA as opposed to using Google Maps on my phone or something.
Oh, for sure, dude. It's like unbelievably different.
Yeah, yeah. You get all the negative stuff off of it, but it's people that just don't know what they're doing. And the guy that has the mojo, he's a nice guy, but he has no clue. I mean, he's not doing any of this.
And listen, and
You
by the
know,
way, that's your competition. No, but
Jesus.
but that's what competition is. So when people say there's all these agents, most of the competition isn't pounding phones every day.
Definitely not.
But
They're
this
not
is
a
why,
lot of
like,
them
just
doing it.
listen, picking up the phone and just doing the calls, whether you get a lead or not, you're still ahead of the competition today.
Yeah, and look, I like doing it. I love canvassing and cold calling. My hard part is tracking, follow up, and
Put it in your
get
calendar. Put it in your calendar and just follow your calendar. Look, guys, like, even watching this, like watching my content all the time, I freaking hate recording videos. I absolutely despise it. I hate it. I don't like watching myself. I never watch my own content. But like, so I'm telling you that like, I hate doing it. In order to do it, I have to put it on my calendar, or it will never be done. It's like some people who hate going to the gym, right? We're like, if it's not in your calendar, you're probably never going to do it. It's fine. Like you're blocking it out on purpose because you don't want to do it. If you have something that you hate doing, put it in your calendar and follow your calendar.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got it. And that's it's not like I hate it. It's a laziness.
Well, I'm just
That's
saying,
all
listen,
it is.
if you're not doing it, there's a reason, right? And you can call it
Yeah.
laziness or the fact that you hate it. The point is, we need to stop it and we need to adjust.